Hey everybody, Christopher Beast here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Sawmill. I have a lot of issues with Sawmill, and I figured it'd be good to set up a video where I can just kind of talk about the issues and suggest how they can be fixed. I might revisit this in the future, I might not. I just kind of wanted to get my thoughts on the table about Sawmill, because I figured that'd be a good starting point if I ever revisit this in the future. But yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so step one, we need to look at map flow. Map flow for Sawmill is relatively simple. Every single thing flows into the Sawmill. The map is built in such a way that it's pretty hard to avoid the Sawmill, because all roads point downhill the Sawmill, all loot POIs are normally concentrated in or around the Sawmill, and generally speaking, the most loot is going to be in the Sawmill. So it is most advantageous for you to go to the Sawmill. All lanes and all different combat lanes and all that stuff point to Sawmill. So with that in mind, Sawmill is the center of Sawmill. I mean, that's fair. Where the issue comes in, though, is our first problem here, spawns. The fact that players spawn inside the focus of your map is a problem, especially when the entire map is based around that focus. Now, what does that problem manifest as? Well, combat doesn't really normally occur within the Sawmill on Sawmill, at least in my experience in the many times I've played Sawmill. Instead, what happens is the people who spawn in Sawmill will radiate out to the borders of Sawmill, and the players who spawn out of Sawmill will radiate into the borders of Sawmill, and instead they'll fight on the horrible border terrain. Which, I need to remind you, in the west is a river, in the north is giant open plains with no cover, and in the east is a horrible rocky cliff with minimal cover. So, horrible combat that is very hard to not get camped on by the people inside the Sawmill. Next problem with this existence is POIs. One of your greatest ways to handle campers in the game is the portable signals detector or the signals detector. Portable signals can only be afforded by pretty expensive players, and signal detectors, well, when your signal detector spawns in the middle of a forest and everyone can camp it with zero effort, it's not going to help against campers. It's more so going to get you killed. So on that note, we can very quickly see why campers are such a problem. All combat lanes make it easier for campers, and on top of that, there's not really much built into the game to handle campers. On top of these problems, we also notice a slight issue when it comes to other POIs, bar the signal detector. Disruptor Tower can spawn in the middle of Sawmill, and if activated, basically makes it impossible to anti-camp the entire Sawmill, which is a horrible idea. And on top of that, the ability to move the comm station out of the center of the map makes it camper season, because a camper can walk up to the many comm stations sprinkled around the edges of the map, activate one, make the drop fall in the middle of a thick forest that's very hard to not get camped in, and suddenly you're looking at death sentence. With all of this in mind, it becomes clear why Sawmill is so heavily camped. So what can be done to fix it? Step one is there needs to be a solid addressment that yes, the center of the map on Sawmill is indeed the fields north of the Sawmill and the Sawmill itself. So stick every single POI that is not a comm station or a disruptor tower in that area. On the note of disruptor towers, they cannot spawn in the Sawmill. Them spawning in the Sawmill has caused so many problems. So just move them to the edges of the map. Most likely, I'd suggest the far north or far east where you have pockets of combat. Those areas might actually see them get practical use. On top of that, a lot of people play Sawmill for the loot. So doing this whole funneling of all the hunter type players would help those loot type players who now won't really have to worry about guys sprinting around hunting them. On top of all of this, we should also consider potentially making it so airdrop can only drop in different parts of the Sawmill, the north field, or in the east. Making it be able to drop in the north and west at all is just an accident waiting to happen when it comes to campers. I know this is suggesting a pretty restructure of how Sawmill works now, but I think this would make a lot of people more happy with the map. And I also know this isn't as structured as my videos normally are and isn't as heavily edited, but I more so was playing Sawmill today and I was like, I now see why everyone's calling this the campers map. and I figured I'd make a short video on it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, this has been Christopher Beast. See y'all then.